Hello everyone, welcome back to volume 1 and to a video that Nathan and I have been meaning to do for a little while, which is a tall versus short climber comparison video, I guess. So Nathan is 6'5" and I am 5'5", so it's a fairly significant difference in height, and we both climb very differently. So Nathan and I often find when we're climbing in the gym that we'll come across a fair amount of problems that we climb pretty differently. Generally, Nathan and I will utilise slightly different beaters for problems, especially if they're reachy or have moves in them that are particularly scrunched up. Nathan, for instance, struggles with a sit start. I struggle with anything that is long or requires me to kind of move dynamically through a move because I don't quite have the height to, I don't want to say reach through it, but reach through it. So today I thought we would pick a few problems in the gym that kind of play to those differences quite well or accentuate the different styles that Nathan and I climb in because of our height. So I'm sure if you are a shorter or a taller climber, you might find some of this relatable, but I hope you find it entertaining. Either way, now we're going to go and find some problems which we think will highlight those differences as well and try and climb them. First thing that we're going to try is this yellow behind me, which Nathan and I both start very differently. So I avoid the dynamic move because I find it a little bit too, not stretched, but I have to like put quite a bit of power behind it to get the reach, whereas I don't feel like Nathan does so much. I opt to go for quite a kind of like compressed, scrunched beater, whereas Nathan finds that he's got a little bit too much arm to do it with that method. So it's quite interesting the way we both started quite differently. And then the last move is quite, I wouldn't say it was big so much as committing. What would you say? Committing. And I feel like I'm kind of just reaching the end of my, so they call it a dead point, end of your span, and then I kind of get like yanked back. Whereas I think Nathan will have a little bit less of a difficult time with that top move, perhaps. Yes, please. So next up we have this black, which Nathan and I again start really differently. So I kind of start using the right hand wall and Nathan can reach the first hold to start. I can get a little bit more on it than I find I can. I think where Nathan's going to struggle here is fitting his knees in between the little chips on one volume and the volume on the other volume. I'll show you that in a cutaway. Kind of like at my upper grade limit, I would say. But the thing where you really notice the difference in this climb is first at the start, so actually getting established on the start hold, and then second, there's a big move in the middle up to kind of like a right hand pinch on the volume, and Nathan and I both do that really differently. I'm basically just finding coming into that match really tough, but I'm going to climb up into the match on like nicer holds and then try and do the next move, but I can barely hold on to it, let alone generate power. I just find that really hard, like the whole thing, really hard.
I feel like I'm going to do tall climbers everywhere a disservice by showing that you know, we basically just reach through the crux moves and keep our feet low, but a lot of the time that is the case. I know for a fact I definitely can't do Hannah's match method on here. It's not good enough. But I did wonder about rolling over, whether that works for people. Rather than going again, like for Hannah even, just to go left hand on it, right hand there, and almost do a bit of a pop upwards. No, I don't think so.
I'll try the top. See if I can make any sense of that knee bar. What? I'm gonna have to go, to do that, I'm gonna have to go hold that crimp, match the crimp, then bring a foot up to this. Because at the minute it's like on here, and I think it needs to be on there to get the match, but then I need to somehow like bump the left foot, and that just feels like that crimp is so bad. Well, it's okay, but I can't hold it.
Thankfully there's multiple options for the knee bar at the top as well, because we've got a massive shin, so normally you struggle to get a knee bar in, but there's a different feet up there you can choose from, which makes it a lot more even for people at a different height at the top, but definitely very different if you can keep your feet low through the middle bit.
Before we move on to the next problem, I want to have a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. You've heard me talk about Skillshare on my channel before, but if you're not familiar with them, Skillshare are an online learning community where you can go and pick up skills and learn new things, from photography to art to looking after your houseplants to personal finance. There's really something on Skillshare for pretty much any interest. So I'm in the process of making a kind of semi-feature length documentary for work, so I have been using Skillshare to take classes in things like composition and colour grading. Recently I've been taking Fred Trevino's colour grading, creating a cinematic look class, which covers things like learning what cinematic traits actually are, frame rate, depth of field, lens choice, and composition. So the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description of this video will get a month's free trial of Skillshare's premium membership. So if you're interested in learning some new skills, leveling up your creativity, then I highly recommend Skillshare as a platform. And let's get into the third problem.
Already dreading just the look of this one because of the little crimps. And the feet don't look big. Sometimes I can keep my feet low on much bigger holds, but this looks pretty like the sequence is set for you. Maybe I can make use of the volume. Oh, that was terrible. A lot of holds, but none of them are that great. These are nice. Just going to try the next ones, see if there's a preferable one. Normally I get my pick of the bunch. That one's okay. Both of those are pretty slopey. See what you got. See how you get through it.
So, I feel like Nathan's going for like a little bit of a hold skip, which I don't know is actually helping because you're trying to go to like a foot. Even though you can reach it, it's not a very good hold. But I kind of have to stick in sequence, I think, so it's a bit of a kind of like cross through type sequence, I think. But then I'm struggling to keep my feet low when I'm going for kind of like the 2 holds on the volume, and because I have to get my left leg quite high, I'm kind of like hips out a little bit and scuppering myself and finding it difficult to like sit under. The one good thing about this climb is that being a little bit shorter, I don't have to reach as far for the start holds. So that is, it's not as flexible for me as I think it would be for Nathan, perhaps. But
Yeah, I watched Hannah on that go to see how she got higher, and her hands are here and then her left foot goes up here. That's the kind of move that I look at and think, I'm not sure it's going to work for me. This is kind of like very high and flexible. You're probably only looking at like under a metre between the hand and the foot, which for me, my hands are here, my foot's here, then my hips are probably going to be like way scrunched up. So I'm not sure that I'll get up there. So this is where I would normally resort to like a more dynamic move off of a low foot, but I haven't quite got the crimpers to hold on to that. So I'll just try the move on its own to see what works. The foot goes up, but I just feel a little bit off balance. This foot just doesn't, feels like a swing round a little bit. I don't think this is the one for me, to be honest.
You could do that with the hand on the far right one. So
This one's actually better though, because then you're opposing, rather than both being like that, do you think, or not?
Not if you're going to stick your leg out there. So you want to like lock off. Or the middle one?
This one. Whoa. It's just full stretch though, it's like limit of reach. Maybe then get it out, although oh no, that's such a bad position.
That is it for our kind of small versus tall comparison. I find it really interesting when Nathan and I climb together, because we do both try things very differently and we approach climbs with a kind of different mindset quite a lot of the time. I feel like these problems demonstrated it quite well of the current set, the kind of differences in moves, I guess, like how we navigate climbs. I feel like it's especially brought out in kind of like the end and the beginning of climbs, would you say? But I hope you found that informative or entertaining, and I'll see you in my next video.